Starbucks. What's their one thing? Coffee. You know, when Starbucks started focusing on all that other stuff, their sales went down. When they started focusing on selling a bunch of other stuff, people said their customer service went down. What is it that they were good at? What is it that was their one thing? And what is it that they continue to need to focus on? Coors. Beer, 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 beer. See, another example for me is Coca-Cola. Let's take Coca-Cola and let's take Pepsi. All right? What does Coca-Cola do? They're in the beverage business. That's it. What does Pepsi-Cola do? They own Kentucky Fried Chicken. They own Taco Bell. They own Frito-Lay. They own a couple of other things. Pizza Hut, thank you. That's why you can only get Pepsi products in those restaurants. Now, do you believe that Pepsi is as successful as Coca-Cola? No, because they focus on one thing and they do it exceptionally well. And KFC, for 50 years, their whole exclusive focus was on that recipe. Great example would be Cane's, right? Cane's focus is what? You know, it might be the sauce. I don't like the sauce. But it could be the sauce. That's why I don't go to Cane's. What about, think of other organizations that you know fit that category. If I was thinking about chicken again, how about Chick-fil-A? That's all they do. You want chicken, you get it for breakfast. Right? You want chicken, you get it for lunch. You want chicken, you get it for dinner. But that's all they do is chicken. They know what they're good at. They know what will make them successful, and that's all they focus on. General Patton was quoted as saying, once you know what you're going to focus on, once you know what you're going to do, you should do nothing else but go and do that decisively. Once you know, you should go and do that and nothing else decisively. There's another quote by Vincent Lombardi who said, success demands singleness of purpose. Singleness of purpose. I love this story. We know what Bill Gates did professionally, right? We know what his focus was. It was really on the language, right? It was on the computer language that he wrote that established what they did. But he and his wife have one of the largest foundations in the world. And they probably make the biggest impact of any other foundation in the world. When they went out at the two of them and they started to decide what is it that we want to do as a foundation and how can we make a difference, they ultimately decided that they wanted their focus for their foundation to be on healthcare. But they asked themselves the next question, which is, okay, we want to be on healthcare, but where do we spend our money where it makes the biggest impact? Where do we spend our money that makes the biggest impact? Where can we spend our money that will actually change the future lives of the individuals that live in those communities? Do you know what the answer is? It's not education. It's immunizations. Immunizations. Vaccines is right. Immunizations. So they have a program where they do immunizations all over the world, small amount of money and cost, but will actually sever what those situations may have been for those that came before them, so the parents or the grandparents as an example, who might have had those diseases or died from those diseases, so that they no longer have that problem. What was their one thing? It was immunizations, because they knew that would make the difference. Mark Twain was quoted in so I'll paraphrase a little bit, but his message was simply this: it ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. I'll let that sink in. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Have any of you ever been that person that knew something for absolutely sure, and then you find out it's not exactly the way you remember it? Sure we have. Probably all of us have been in that situation. I can tell you, my team would tell you I'm in that situation a lot. I know this is right. Wrong again. Okay, wrong again. So part of this process in this journey is to allow ourselves to accept the fact that we don't know, and that maybe what we think we know for sure, it just ain't so. So if we go back for just a minute for no harm, and let me use the example where we got to 1,095 days. If we didn't believe we could get to 1,095 days, would we ever get there? No. If we thought the most we could ever get to is 365, then we probably wouldn't get to 367 or 380, because we wouldn't stay focused and we wouldn't have set the mark to believe that we could get to that point. What holds us back? What keeps us from figuring out what that one thing is? And even if we know what the one thing is, what distracts us or doesn't allow us to focus on that one thing? I'm going to give you 6 lies. 6 lies that impact what that is. Number 1, it's a lie to believe that everything matters equally. It's a lie to believe that everything matters equally. Number 2, it's a lie to believe that you can multitask. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Number 3, a disciplined life. Number 4, willpower is always on will call. It's a lie to believe that willpower is always on will call. If that were true, then nobody would lose a race, right? Because if they could just call on that strength and that power, then they'd all be crossing the finish line pretty close to the same. But it's not true. We have bad days, right? We don't want to have a bad day, but we have a bad day. So we just can't automatically think we can call it up and make it happen. Our children don't get that, though, do they? They think they can do that. They're invincible. Work-life balance is a lie. I know. You're telling me, right? Okay, we're going to talk about that. And a big idea is bad. Big is bad. That's a lie. Everything matters equally. When we come to work in the morning, how many of you do to-do list when you come to work, or you've done it for the day before? Many of us do, because in our minds and the way we were brought up, that was a way to make sure that we could check off everything we needed to get done the next day, right? We just check it off and say, okay, we got that done. The other issue is that list of to-dos you need to throw away. Because a long to-do list is not good. A short focus list will make us successful. Because everything is not equal. We can also get distracted, right? This happens to me a lot. It probably doesn't happen to you, but Charlotte was talking about it earlier. You sit in your office, or I have a table in my office, big table, and I sit at it. And I'm working at the office, and you know what I keep hearing? Ding, 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 damn email. Right? Now, if you're sitting at your office and you're supposed to be reading a contract or focused on something that you're trying to get done, how many of you look up and look at the ding? If you don't, you're lying. All right? You're just lying to yourself. Okay? Let me tell you what we all need to do when we get home. We need to turn the ding off. I'm serious. I've already asked Casey to figure out how to get my ding turned off. All right? You shouldn't go there. You should not go there. Now Casey's going to be red, all right? You should not go there. But seriously, we get distracted. Why? Because in our minds, for some reason, everything is equal. And it's just as important to go see what that dadgum email is as it is to focus on what you're trying to really get accomplished. You're doing evaluations. I mean, there could be a million things that you're supposed to be doing that you need to be focused on. And if you do this and then you do this, you can forget it because you just started over, right? Because you now spent another 30 seconds trying to remember where it was you were on that page for whatever you were trying to get done. That's a great simple example of why you can't multitask, okay? Because you get interrupted. And when you do, you start over. They say 2% of the people in the United States can multitask. So if we thought about that, that's about 3 or 4 people out of this room. So the rest of us are just SOL, all right? Because we're not going to be able to do it, okay? We're not going to be able to do it. So it's not going to work. But if we try to believe that everything is equal, in fact, it's like the pinball game, right? We're just the ball bouncing around from side to side to side to side. And then we get to lunch and we're like, dang, where'd the morning go? I didn't get anything done. Now, how many of you have said that? How many of you said it last week? All right? Yeah, I didn't get anything done. Whose fault is that? It's ours. I used to tell people all the time,